A full 1 minute and 20 seconds of logos? Does watching an extended cut of the movie also mean extended logos? Cause f this movie and the logos it wrote in on. As we stare into the barren desert here for a few seconds, I'm starting to wonder if maybe this movie is just 2 hours of desert footage with the occasional tumbleweed rolling by. Because I bet Favreau could direct the shit out of those tumbleweeds.
We're riding towards absolution.
Oh cool, it's a talkie.
Look here, Paul. Got iron on his wrist. He's been shot.
For those viewers who did not spend the last 2 minutes witnessing the obvious attributes of Jake Lonergan's situation, this guy's here to provide unnecessary info to not only you, but his dad.
I said turn around and start walking.
We all know that 00 Stetson here is going to take out all 3 of these guys, but can we at least pretend to make it realistic? I mean, the guy on the horse waits a full 10 seconds before missing at point-blank range. Also, anything is possible, but the act of turning around and immediately stabbing a guy who was a good 5 or 6 feet behind another guy while still holding the gun on some other dude is not. And this guy died from a single knife to the leg? I mean, maybe if you hit the femoral artery or something, but it would still take a bit to bleed out, right? No clue who this is, but might be useful for wank material later, so I'll hold on to it. Oh yeah, that whole major stomach wound thing that was forgotten for the last couple of minutes of horse riding over multiple terrains. I'm calling bullshit on him getting off that horse a second ago as smoothly as he did without crying or passing out.
Palms to heaven, friend.
This is the kind of thing you write for your preacher character to avoid writing a cliche like hands up, partner, but it's also the kind of phrase you replace it with that indicates your movie's going to suck.
Only 2 kinds of men get shot. Criminals and victims.
That's incredibly sage. I was thinking about all the other non-criminal, non-victim types of the world and realized that none of those people ever get shot.
I don't know.
Also, pro tip, if someone gives you 2 choices, go for the one that will save your ass. Playing the middle card doesn't usually work out well in situations such as these.
Whether you're gonna end up in heaven or hell, it's not God's plan, it's your own.
Even when Clancy Brown is playing a good guy, he comes off like a religion-spouting serial killer. You know what, guys? I saw in the opening credits that Olivia Wilde is in this movie, and I still haven't even seen... Oh, there she is. I'm glad the movie checked in on her. Well, back to the movie. This scene backs up an expression I once heard. It goes something like, wherever there is Paul Dano, there will be blood.
What the hell's going on here?
The real question should be, where the f*** were you, Sheriff, when Percy was shooting up the outside of the saloon? Also, movie automatically gets a sin for having a carradine in it, because I have to figure out which f***ing one it is every time. Can't they just wear a name tag along the lines of, I'm the one that was on Dexter?
Taggart, you know that's not a good idea.
Well, I'm afraid I got no choice, Nat.
Adam Beach, ladies and gentlemen.
You burn the coffee again, Nicky.
Tell you what, Ed, next time you can make the coffee.
Okay.
Actual dialogue in this movie.
Come on, dollar eyes.
I could give this movie credit for not having the henchman talk about his boss and then the boss is standing behind him thing, but then we have to watch this guy start to take a so f*** you movie. Maybe it's possible Roy would have survived with no injuries being that close to an explosion, except that he wouldn't have. Considering it looks like they just stacked their wanted posters like flapjacks, isn't it just a tad bit convenient that Jake's just happens to be right on top? Favreau cameo. Camvrio?
Got no respect in this town.
That's not true, okay?
We get it. Sam Rockwell is a timid barkeep. Paul Dano is a spoiled brat, and Daniel Craig is a badass amnesiac. Did we really have to spend the first half hour of the movie on these, plus a half dozen other different backstories? It better be revealed later that Jake has some sort of magical powers, because with no clear mirror across from him, there is no way that he could know he was about to be in danger by simply the sound of them approaching the door. Hey guys, this movie needs an action scene. Let's have the sheriff and his deputies completely botch basic arrest procedures so that we can have a big saloon fight.
I don't want any trouble.
I don't want any trouble, cliche.
Please! I didn't kill your cow! Colonel Dollar Hot! You gotta believe me!
Considering about 100 head of cattle are still smoldering in pieces, what does Dollar High think this idiot actually did here?
You saying I killed this woman? You tell me.
Movie has spent its first half hour westerning so hard that when or if it ever decides to start alienating, the movie will be in for more of a jarring shift than when I learned to drive stick.
Give me your wrist.
I find it odd that not a single person in the sheriff's office thought to ask about Jake's wrist accessory or try to remove it. Even if they don't think it's dangerous, it sure as f*** looks like it might be worth something.
I don't like it here.
Your pa's getting things in order. When he does, he'll send for you.
It's been a year.
Who even is this kid? Why is this movie all % Lonesome Dove and no % Independence Day? Did they mistitle the movie? Was it supposed to read Cowboys or Aliens? Cowboys and Aliens asks the bold question, what if aliens attacked a quiet western town in the 1800s and there wasn't anything to give a damn about? Blazing Saddles. Get it? Because it's the Old West, and the aliens are lassoing people like a cattle herd? Yeah, I guess the aliens were also using 1800s technology for their abductions back then. They figured out space travel, but not the tractor beams just yet. I mean, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do, but does Dollarhide really think this will work? Okay, well, just a gall darn second there, cowboy. Did your alien jewelry activate because of proximity to the spaceships? Why would it immediately go into gun mode? And how would you know that? And how did you even know how to shoot it? Or did it just happen to go off when you had it pointed in the most convenient direction? And yes, Ella explains eventually that the technology works through his mind, but he doesn't know what the thing is, so why would he think to use it as a weapon? So not only does he understand how this new unexplained wrist gun works, he is also already a perfect shot with it. Good to know. An alien managed to find its way into this house with nobody seeing it, and apparently it didn't smash any windows and politely close the door when it entered the residence. Also, nobody checks on the person who got attacked by the alien after this, or even looks in the house for clues.
I don't know what it is, but it's bleeding.
Adam Beach, ladies and gentlemen. So Doc is actually a doc, but he runs a bar, and the preacher was stitching up Jake earlier. I think this might have been a more interesting movie if it had been about a town of former doctors on the run that lost their licenses, cowboys, and malpractices. This might be the only movie where someone is actively trying to get away from Olivia Wilde.
I can help you!
By being vague and not telling Jake exactly what you are or what that technology is on his wrist. Yeah, Ella's a big help.
Sorry, son, you can't go. It's too dangerous.
I'll watch him on the ride.
Was it really the ride that was going to be too dangerous? Or was it the unexplained technologically advanced psychopathic alien race thing? Because I bet it was the latter.
It's heading north.
Judging by the horse shadows and the fact that it's first thing in the morning, this posse is clearly riding the opposite of north, which makes sense since this movie's been heading south for quite some time now.
Got a kid and a dog. Why not a woman?
That's just all kinds of ist. I get that the house is bringing back some of Jake's memories, but how did he remember the house and how to get back to it? So wait, the aliens can melt and suck up gold through a roof, but they still need to use ropes to abduct people?
I don't know much about boats. I'd say that one's upside down.
Oh great, movie just turned itself into the Poseidon Adventure. Also sure, let's grind this Cowboys and Aliens movie to a halt by giving them their Saving Private Ryan, everyone gets to know everyone better in close quarters moment.
How's that feel?
It's heavy.
In a movie that's already over 2 hours, and we're almost an hour in with only one instance of cowboys fighting aliens, we have plenty of time for the Meacham teaches Doc the importance of guns scene. We also get almost a full minute of Daniel Craig looking around this boat. Does it mean anything? Will it be important later? Between this and the previous sin, I have to ask, does this movie even understand the concept of editing? No, and hell to the no.
I don't recollect telling you any stories.
I'd listen when you tell them to Percy.
Them stories weren't for you.
Are we really trying to jam yet another sentimental plotline into the bloated carcass of a script? The preacher's faith, the bartender's wife, the deputy's kid, the amnesiac's love, the strange woman's identity, and now daddy issues are in the mix? Favreau keeps looking around his red room for more toys to play with, and I really wish I could remember my safe word. It's hard to dislike Harrison Ford, so the movie makes sure he takes a bite of this apple, just to prove he really is an actual asshole.
When that target peeks up over the top, just squeeze the trigger.
Foreshadowing practice. I mean, target practice. In dark and closed quarters when you aren't actually sure where everyone else is a bit like eating at a gas station restroom. Sure, you'll probably be fine, but why the hell did you even bring the burrito in there in the first place, Roger? Guys, I've been watching this movie for an hour, and this is the weirdest James Bond movie I've ever seen.
You just have to remember.
Well, I can't.
Yes, you can.
Wet and Wild here obviously knows some valuable information, but since it's not time for us to know yet, she isn't telling anyone else either, because, you know, why help when you could just stand there rain-soaked and touch battle wounds seductively?
Lay down, ain't nothing but a bunch of damn rats.
So just a bunch of disease-carrying creatures that could bite you and kill you, but sure, just sit down and hope for the best. Okay, I know the boat is kind of big, but certainly this kid, and really anyone in there, heard those alien roars, right? Dude wasn't even pretending to keep it on the DL. Those are some super dry and freshly pressed clothes after being drenched the previous night.
Tracks are good. It's headed north.
How are the tracks still good exactly? There was a f***ing monsoon the previous night. In fact, they should just be standing in a pile of mud right now.
Are we gonna say some words over?
Only one that knows what to say is in the ground. Ain't it enough we took the time to put him there?
And why exactly did they take the time? I get the whole being respectful to the dead bit, but there's a pretty serious time crunch, right? They're trying to track down the aliens and save their friends and family that are possibly still alive. So maybe just say a quick prayer and skip the time and energy it would take to dig graves and bury these people.
He rolled over, looked up into my eyes, and he said,
Kill me.
I am definitely feeling the same way as that guy did right about now.
What did you do?
Skip!
This is what they call a hold-up. Welcome, everybody.
Movie decides to throw even more new characters at us, over an hour in, because it's a Western, and it hadn't found any way to Goggins yet.
you're gonna bring me to the camp.
Remember how just a few seconds ago you were hot on the trail of an alien monster creature that kidnapped your friends and loved ones? But sure, let's take a break and visit your old buddy's camp for a bit. Seems productive.
You huh?
The Scottish pronoun game is the same as it's played in the States, but it requires subtitles and a glass of Springbank 21 years single cask to play.
Demons took your gold.
Ah, the demons took your gold excuse. It's the dog ate my homework of the Old West.
Kill the whore.
So, hold on. Does he have to wait to hear the beeping before he can use his wrist gun ex machina? Or can he shoot it whenever? Just asking because I need to know if I'm sitting this for the plot convenient times it turns on, or his stupidity in not using it as a sign of power earlier. Can someone explain the alien bombings to me? If they're abducting, then why are they bombing their human subjects? What the f*** is this ship doing exactly just riding alongside them? Is the alien pilot finally getting to live out his dream of being a pace car? Word on the street is that this is how Jason Sudeikis ended up impressing Olivia Wilde before they got married. Men will do a lot of stupid things for Olivia Wilde, including jumping on a speeding spaceship that, for some reason, hasn't flown off into the stratosphere like the other ships have done so far. Also, for the love of Vin, timing that jump at that speed and hanging on? It's like John Ford directed a Fast and Furious movie. I'm all for artistic choice here or there, but why make the decision to saturate these colors so deeply on just this walk? Was the goal to see how fake you could make the sky look? because great job, you made it look very fake. Daenerys did it better. You gotta love how the gentleman Lonergan rushes to do the right thing to cover the naked Ella, but make sure to get in a really good look before handing over the blanket.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't tell you.
Yes, you could have. And the fact that you will never even attempt to give a good reason why you kept your identity and knowledge secret is proof enough for me that you're full of whatever the alien version of is.
I'm from a different place. I took this form so I could walk among you.
I made sure that I packaged myself in the hottest possible way so as to be less conspicuous. Also, this movie just stepped into a huge pile of horse when you haven't even explained the aliens and introduced a species of fire-resurrecting goddesses. Your movie is so far off the rails it's a 1984 Pontiac Fiero. Also, what did we expect when we saw 3 studios, at least 5 writers, and 15 producers on this thing, ranging from the Lost guys to the people that brought us Cocoon and Steven Spielberg. Not to mention the guy who gave us Iron Man and Swingers, but also gave us Zathura and Iron Man 2.
I didn't know if I could heal this body. If I would wake up.
It's pretty amazing how people from the 1800s, especially the Native Americans who were blaming all the monsters on the white people, just allow this dude who was a prisoner to talk casually to the naked woman who just rose from the dead without a peep.
You're a guest of the chief.
Now I'm a guest? I thought I was a prisoner. What the hell am I?
The movie captures actual question Harrison Ford was asking and puts it into the movie.
They want gold.
Well, that's just ridiculous. What are they gonna do? Buy something?
New Mexico Jones would be excellent at CinemaSins.
They'll come back with more and there will be no survivors. It's what they did to my people.
Oh yeah? Because I just saw you alien resurrection yourself after being gutted and barbecued, so I'm not exactly sure how your people could die in the first place. No one will be seated during the magical healing hummingbird portion of the movie. It's not great when a movie that has a budget of well over $100 million has a scene that doesn't look any better than the Zapruder film quality of Alien Autopsy.
They don't see well in daylight. They stay underground in caverns where it's dark.
That's why they decided to launch an aerial assault in the middle of the goddamn daytime a few minutes ago. Also, the more Wild West here spouts important information that really would have been nice to know before, the more I can't believe that they haven't thrown her into another fire.
We have one advantage. They underestimate you. You're like insects to them.
Then why in blue blazes are they space rodeoing folks to study their weaknesses? Just smash the bugs and carry on with your interstellar mining.
He says it's better to fight from high ground.
The Apache have clearly studied Obi-Wan's ancient texts on battle. Is it just me, or did Walton here take a trip to the dentist while we were away? Because when his teeth got jaked up earlier, they looked like this.
We've got to make the best use of our resources.
Always good to get a little foreshadowing practice. I mean target practice in. But aren't they super close to the alien ship? I know the light is supposed to affect their vision, but does it somehow affect their hearing as well? This movie obviously has much more of a hankering to be Western than sci-fi, and at about a 90-10 split, which might be fine if the Western-y parts weren't the most boring-ass parts of the whole experience. I mean, it took 3 writers and Damon Lindelof to come up with this f***ing script.
None of us are here very long.
I see you've moved on from that very recent vision of the previous love of your life being chopped up and disintegrated by aliens pretty quickly. Good for you, man. Go get your happiness. Horses, landscapes, camouflaged alien layers. Excitement? This alien race is technologically advanced enough to have achieved pulse weaponry and space travel, but not simple perimeter security like motion detectors or cameras. And sure, Lawrence of Olivia tells them the aliens don't consider the humans to be threats, but why can't the aliens be smart for a change? When we're conquered by a superior alien race, this movie will be shown in a class called The Downfall of Man, Underestimating the Unknown, by Bork's Beeblebacks.
Matches.
Since they're using a type of cardboard matchbox that wasn't really invented till much later, let's just tack on another 20 sins for all the other anachronisms seen in this movie that didn't exist till the 20th century, like stainless steel knives, waterproof makeup, and Daniel Craig's. So much for them not being able to see in the daylight. Thanks for nothing, Space Lady. Cowboys versus Predator.
I always dreamed of riding into battle with you.
I always dreamed of having a son like you.
Just f*** off, movie.
Go. Get Percy. Get your son.
Adam Beach, ladies and gentlemen. Mere seconds ago, the aliens were obviously destroying the Cowboys, but now the Cowboys are getting the upper hand. Why? Hell if I know, and hell if the movie is going to give any indication why this unstoppable force just turned into Keystone Cops for a few minutes.
Don't look into the light. Told you not to look into the light.
Why didn't you shoot it in the first place then?
How long are we gonna be like this?
Each one's different.
How does she know? Has she done this before? Also, why the f*** did the aliens need to put a bunch of people in a trance? Absolutely none of this alien makes any sense. Maybe it doesn't have to, but it doesn't have to do with They killed Lonergan's wife and then everybody else they pennywised.
Go!
No use of their motor functions for days and possibly weeks, but I'm sure they could just walk right out of there. Thankfully, these aliens follow video game rules and only come at you one at a time. Now that I really get a chance to look at it, I guess internal hands is a bit of an evolutionary design flaw.
And you can control it.
How?
Same way you shoot it, with your mind. You have to stop thinking.
If this is all it took to get the alien Fitbit off his wrist, why didn't it happen before when he kissed her? I guess it was controlled by boners, and this is the first time his penis didn't have amnesia.
If I can get it to its core, I can stop them.
Well, that ended up being pertinent to the plot. Good thing Jake was never one of the ones captured or killed or had his arm cut off by someone in his sleep. What is this recording? Why did it start playing? And why did it just happen right now? Just answer one of these questions, movie. I dare you. And it just happens to be the exact same alien that Discount Joe Bang sliced up and escaped from earlier. Because of course it is. Even though this alien cave labyrinth is likely confusing and foreign, and it's highly unlikely he'd know where to go, the movie can't help but Harrison X Fortica all over us before it comes to a conclusion. It's hard to believe that this isn't the only time a character died by pouring molten gold on them in 2011. It wasn't even the first time. As several stories of this rocket emerge from below the Earth, I think it's fair to ask exactly how did that bad boy land in a way that buried it perfectly that deep. Go team and all that, but after a while, when the scouts haven't come back, won't more aliens just come out and find out what happened to them? I guess that was the sequel. The sequel.
Percy, don't you remember me, boy?
Regarding Percy.
I'm your father.
Star Wars nerds boner alert. If this hummingbird is supposed to be his wife, that's going to be very tough news for his sex life.
Hey, bartender! How many more songs we gotta listen to before we get another drink?
I think the more appropriate question is, how many more scenes of this do I have to watch before I'm driven to drink? And the answer is negative 59.
Claw's our master.
This son of a bitch stole my gold off the bullion, Coach. I want that man.
You find this man. You find this man. I'll follow him from me.
Tommy, how's the peeping?
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
They don't see well in daylight. They stay underground in caverns where it's dark.
Once again, things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
I'm your father.
Well, I understand double O's have a very short life expectancy, so your mistake will be short-lived.
I've seen good men do bad things, bad men do good things.
Short people have long faces, and long people have short faces.
Nobody calls me Colonel.
Like Indiana.
We named the dog Indiana.
What kind of a man goes around blowing up other people's cows?
That's a lot of cows.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?